This is Transitions by Eloide Durand. This is a 2021 French graphic novel that was published in English in 2023 by Top Shelf or IDW. And this is the story of based on a true story. The cartoonist had interviews and was with this family over 3 years from about 2016, maybe 2017 to like 2020. And it's a story principally about a mother and then the family coming to terms and the journey that they have when they find out that their child who's born female identifies as a male. Now, a lot of the books that you've had recently, as far as about the LGBTQ community, as far as graphic novels go, have always been from the point of view of the person actually going through the journey. Although Genderqueer wasn't a book about the trans experience, it's a phenomenal graphic novel. But that book is about that person going through that experience. This is about the mother. And it's interesting because I would say that this book, if you know someone who has a child that's starting to go on their trans journey and they're trying to come up to speed, this is a great book to give them. It deals with the mother who's really having a hard time coming to grips with this. Her husband isn't. She's remarried, has 2 younger kids. The daughter, the child that's identified, as male is from the first marriage. The father from that one is also supportive. She's just having a hard time dealing with all this. And there's this big black box of, you don't know about this experience. This is something that Gen Z is comfortable talking about and they adapt quickly. But older generations, this is a kick in the head. And there's a lot of misinformation. This goes against a lot of things that you've learned growing up. And so and her resistance isn't really based on anything religious or moral. It's just, I guess, seeing your child change and lack of knowledge. And there's a lot of information here. It really talks about the gender spectrum. And this is why it's useful to give to somebody, because there's a lot of information here that breaks it down really simply that you can probably only do in a comics format. A lot of documentaries are sourced, a lot of books are sourced. And it just really explains the difference between sex and gender. It talks about how there's certain cultures that in the world that have been around forever that gender is a fluid concept. There's some animals in nature that gender is a very fluid concept, not just, not mentally, but physically. And it talks about that journey, the ups and downs, the difficulty the mother has and their child, identifying as a male, the stress that the child has in going through this journey. It's not dramatic as far as like situations that are dramatic. It's not the journey itself is interesting, and that feeling of just you don't know what to do and looking back, because she often thinks about her child when her child was identified as a female, and just that letting go of that and accepting the person as they are and being comfortable. Because this is something that you'll see a lot of trans people say that, oh yeah, I came out to my parents and my parents say they support, but it's really lip service. They really don't support. They're not against it, but they're really, by action, aren't really for it either. But this is really an informative book. And there comes a moment where she's getting guidance, and she's being given some guidance by a medical professional, and she just snaps and says, I can't do that to my daughter. I said, I can't do it to my child. If I do that to my child, they'll never forgive me. Are you crazy? And that's kind of like when they snap. And I think a lot of people have that moment where you're like, you snap and you say, okay, I'm all in. And it's a really interesting book from that perspective. It's not super gripping narrative because it's not meant to be. It's really about the journey and learning and citing sources and accepting their child as who they are. And it's a really wonderful story. I think, like I said, this is something that parents could probably use as a primer if they have someone in their family or they have their own child that is transgender. And, you know, this is the top shelf label, but it's really IDW. And it's weird. IDW, like once a year, will come out with these English translated French graphic novels that are great. And they do it like once a year. And I wish they would do more, because these are the kind of books that you're not reading in America. Somebody in America is not making these kinds of books like this sophisticated. And more of these books are needed. We need more European graphic novels, especially French graphic novels, translated in English. There's a lot of great work that we're just missing out on for those of us that don't speak French, because we don't speak French. Anyway, this is an interesting read. If you get a chance to pick it up, I'd go flip through it. Like I said, if you're going through that journey, this is definitely a great book to get. Thanks.